scene script. Have you ever wondered how a simple conversation can change the course of someone's life? Imagine this. You're in a bustling mall and a charming salesperson approaches you with a smile. With a few well-chosen words, they convince you to buy a product you didn't even know you needed. You walk away a little lighter in the wallet, but convinced you've made a great decision. But have you? What just happened is a classic example of psychological manipulation. So, what exactly is psychological manipulation? It's a type of social influence that aims to change the behavior or perception of others through underhanded, deceptive, or even abusive tactics. It essentially involves the manipulator pulling the strings of your decision-making process, subtly guiding you towards the outcome they desire. Now, why is psychological manipulation so effective? It's because it plays on our emotions, our fears, and our desires. It exploits our vulnerabilities, making us feel certain emotions that can push us to act in a particular way. Fear of missing out on a good deal, desire to fit in, or even the simple longing to be liked can all be used to manipulate us. Let's go back to our salesperson. They didn't just sell you a product, they sold you an experience, a story, a dream. They made you believe that this product would enhance your life in some way, even if you didn't need it. They appealed to your emotions, creating a sense of urgency, a fear of missing out. And it worked. You bought the product, convinced it was a decision you made on your own. But here's the kicker. You were manipulated. The salesperson shaped your decision without you even realizing it. That's the power of psychological manipulation. It can make us do things that we might not normally do, buy things we don't really need, and believe things that may not be true. This is a clear example of how psychological manipulation can lead us to make decisions that we might not have made otherwise. One of the most infamous examples of psychological manipulation is the Stanford prison experiment. In the summer of 1971, psychologist Philip Zimbardo and his team set out to investigate how readily individuals would conform to the roles of prisoner and God in a mock prison setting. They recruited 24 male students who had no criminal background and were deemed psychologically healthy to participate in a 2-week experiment at Stanford University. The experiment was designed to create an artificial prison, where the participants were randomly assigned to either the role of a prisoner or a guard. The prisoners were stripped of their personal identity and given numbers instead of names, while the guards were given uniforms, batons, and mirrored sunglasses to create an aura of authority. What happened next was both shocking and revealing. The experiment, originally intended to last 2 weeks, had to be terminated after just 6 days. The guards, who had initially struggled with their roles, began to display authoritarian, even sadistic behavior. They subjected the prisoners to psychological torture, including humiliation, sleep deprivation, and solitary confinement. The prisoners, on the other hand, started to exhibit signs of severe distress and passivity, fully accepting their imposed roles. This rapid descent into cruelty and obedience paints a chilling picture of how easily individuals can be manipulated when placed in a structured environment that encourages certain behaviors. The experiment showed that, when given power and authority, people can act in ways that are completely out of character, often with devastating consequences. It's important to note that the Stanford prison experiment has received criticism over the years for its ethical implications and methodological flaws. However, its findings still stand as a stark reminder of the potential impact of psychological manipulation. The Stanford prison experiment shows us how easily individuals can be manipulated into adopting cruel and inhumane behaviors. Another chilling example of psychological manipulation comes from the Milgram experiment. Conducted in the early 1960s by social psychologist Stanley Milgram, this experiment serves as a stark reminder of the extent to which individuals can be swayed by authority figures, even when it challenges their personal ethics. Milgram's experiment was designed to explore obedience to authority. Participants were told they were part of a study on the effects of punishment on learning. They were assigned the role of teacher, with a fellow participant who was, unbeknownst to them, an actor, taking on the role of learner. The teachers were instructed to administer an electric shock to the learner every time they made a mistake in a memory test. The learners were not actually receiving shocks, but the teachers believed they were. Even as the learners protested, the teachers were urged by an authority figure, the experimenter, to continue administering shocks, under the premise that it was crucial for the study. What's truly unsettling is that a large number of participants did continue administering what they believed to be life-threatening electric shocks. This occurred despite their personal discomfort, and in some cases, severe emotional distress. They had been manipulated into acting against their own moral judgment, simply because an authority figure had told them to do so. The Milgram experiment highlights the power of authority and the dangerous lengths to which individuals can be manipulated. It reminds us that we're not as immune to manipulation as we'd like to believe. After all, if a simple lab coat can persuade us to inflict imagined harm on others, what else could we be manipulated into doing? The lessons from the Milgram experiment stay relevant. It's a call for us to question authority, to not blindly follow instructions, and to always stay true to our moral compass. The Milgram experiment underscores the dangerous extent to which individuals can be manipulated under the guise of authority. The effects of psychological manipulation can be far-reaching and damaging. Firstly, psychological manipulation can erode trust. After being subjected to manipulation, individuals may find it difficult to trust others, even those who are close to them. They might become suspicious of others' intentions and motives, leading to strained relationships. For instance, in the Stanford prison experiment, the prisoners' trust in their fellow inmates was severely damaged due to the manipulative tactics employed by the guards. Furthermore, psychological manipulation can lead to a host of mental health issues. Anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder are common amongst those who have been manipulated. The subjects in the Milgram experiment, for example, reported feelings of intense guilt and distress long after the experiment had ended. They were manipulated into performing actions contrary to their values, causing emotional turmoil and long-lasting psychological harm. Another consequence is the manipulation of societal norms and behaviors. Manipulators often use their influence to alter what is considered normal behavior in a society, leading to the acceptance of harmful practices. We saw this in both the Stanford prison experiment and the Milgram experiment. In the former, the guards' cruel behavior became normalized within the prison setting. In the latter, participants were manipulated into accepting the act of inflicting pain on others as a necessary part of the experiment. Psychological manipulation is not just harmful to individuals, it can have detrimental effects on societies as well. When manipulation is used by those in power, it can lead to the widespread acceptance of harmful ideologies and the erosion of societal values. This can result in conflict, division, and the potential for large-scale harm, as people are manipulated into acting against their own best interests. In conclusion, psychological manipulation is a force to be reckoned with. It's not just about making someone do something they don't want to do. It's about controlling how they think, feel, and behave. And the consequences of this control can be devastating. Psychological manipulation can lead to severe consequences, not just for individuals, but for societies as a whole. So we've seen how powerful and potentially damaging psychological manipulation can be. In our journey today, we've explored the depths of this intriguing and at times unsettling aspect of human behavior. We started by defining psychological manipulation, a social influence that aims to change the behavior or perception of others through deceptive, exploitative, and often harmful means. It's a tool wielded by those seeking to control others, often without their awareness. We then delved into two landmark studies in the field of psychology, the Stanford prison and Milgram experiments. Both illustrated the extent to which ordinary individuals can be influenced to act in ways that contradict their moral compass, simply by manipulation of their environment or authority figures. In the Stanford prison experiment, we saw how easily people can adopt roles and behaviors that are expected of them, even when these roles involve inflicting harm on others. Similarly, the Milgram experiment demonstrated the alarming degree to which people are willing to obey authority, even to the point of causing harm to others. We also highlighted the potential consequences of psychological manipulation. It can lead to emotional distress, mental health issues, and in severe cases, even physical harm. The victims often feel powerless, confused, and doubtful of their own perceptions, trapped in a cycle of manipulation that can be hard to break free from. However, it's not all doom and gloom. Recognizing these tactics is the first step to resisting them. By being aware of the signs of manipulation and understanding its impact, we can protect ourselves and others. Understanding the power and impact of psychological manipulation is the first step towards recognizing and resisting it. Remember, knowledge is power.